Hi, I'm going to try and video the farm. This is my backyard. And of course, this is Joe Winberg. If this comes out all right, I'll probably put it up on Bluebird, just call it the farm. I got some videos of the farm, but that would be Goshen Gardens. Not here, that's a couple of miles from here, down in Goshen. This is my backyard in South Dennisland. Just with the bright sun on the screen, it's hard to see what I'm doing. But we'll make an attempt. I love this sunlight early in the morning. Very intense. And hopefully we can get some of that magic. Magic in the sunlight, not the moonlight. And that's what we'll try to do. So this is like the front part of the farm. There's some grape arbor. This over here is a unique specimen because, and you wonder why it's unique, because it's a white cedar, and you would think, oh well, there's plenty of them. No, there really aren't, and you really can't buy them at a regular nursery. The cedars, we have tons down here. They're the red cedars, and the difference being the red cedar, the wood is red, and the white cedar, the wood is white or whitish, and lighter actually. And they were kind of depleted early on in the history of this country. They were very useful, the white pines. So anyway, this here is a coral honeysuckle. Brings the hummingbirds and the pollinators and all that good stuff. And dahlia is from bulbs that I brought up from Philadelphia. And then I got these vegetable plants lined up all over here because in this particular yard, this is where the sun is. And you got to grow the vegetables and many other plants where the sun is. And as you can see, I'm using these organza bags. Put them around the grape clusters so that not too many birds get at them. I did a bunch of that somewhere else yesterday too. It's back-breaking work, but what are you going to do? Somebody's got to do it. There's more tomato plants. Tomatoes. Basils. Just pulled up 2 big clusters of the basil. Set them out for drying. These are regular red cedars. I put 2 of them in a line over here. That's a Japanese holly, that tall plant. Very nice plant. You got a myrtle behind it. These are a bunch of native wildflowers back here, perennials coming up. Right down here, that white flower, that's a bunch of arugula. Arugula's great. You plant it and it reseeds itself. It's wonderful. Over here, this is my little treat for the butterflies. Hopefully they're common and they'll lay their eggs on these milkweeds, which I certainly have a ton of. But lay their eggs they will. And over here you see there's 2 aronia bushes. 2, but I actually have about 7 or 8 elsewhere. And here's the tomatoes more, and there's an aronia bush behind it. More grapevines, more zinnias, onions in pots. And I'll talk a little bit about that just when I scan this area. These are the fast-growing leyland cypresses here and here, but I also had a cedar, so I put that in over here. Once again, this is like a line of them. And then the milkweed was in the area. They naturally seeded, and all this milkweed. So that's some potatoes in a big pot. They'll be fine. Sage. Got some chives back there. You'll see some beets back there. You see those beets? Reddish leaves. Of course, tons of raspberries and blackberries and what have you. More potatoes. And over here's stuff you, first of all, I'll put this on the elderberries. These are spectacular plants. They're just very prolific. And there's a special technique to growing them. You cut them back totally, I think in the spring, and then they regrow, boom, in 1 year. But I gotta get those origami bags over these things too, because I think the birds like to eat them. And over here you have the, it's kind of a hybrid, gossenberry and corin. I'm not pronouncing that word right. The corinth, you know what I'm talking about. This terrific yew tree, and that's the backyard. And that's the area where the guy came and chopped down about 15 trees this year, mostly from the middle of the yard to the left. So what wasn't exposed is now totally exposed. So what are you going to do, you know? They don't understand that as human beings, they need oxygen. What are you going to do? I'll show you just another little part of where I'm trying to grow some tomatoes and corn back here. The light isn't on it yet, but that's where it is. Tomatoes, eggplant, tomato plant here. You see it. And the berries are trying to make their way in here too. I let them live until they get too overbearing, and I just come back. But there are a lot of black raspberries this year, and a lot of regular blackberries and raspberries. I will say that a good blackberry just can't be beat, but all the berries are good. We had a real dry spell, so a lot of the blackberries didn't mature. But after that big rain we got a tremendous big rain, and the blackberries, many of them just puffed right up. It's like having a glass of Merlot in a berry, just spectacular. As a matter of fact, I think I'll walk over there and see if there are any. Once again, you can see my little cornfield. I like to do that just for aesthetics. I rarely get any. They're coming in. I can't tell if the corn is coming in. Yeah, there they are. Yeah. I do it mostly for aesthetics and in remembrance of the Indians, and back when things weren't so bad on the planet. But so I'll look over here. They're just still all red. This is where I did pick a bunch, and they were just fabulous. You can see I got figs growing in here. They're growing in amongst the raspberries, and I'll tell you why I'm doing that. Here's those beets I showed you before. But it was very dry, and the blackberries didn't do too well. This is a Cinco de Mayo rosebush, probably a Floribunda. It does it at least twice. That noise in the background is probably from the guy who cut the trees down. He doesn't observe Sunday peace and quiet. But, you know, in this day and age, who observes anything? Everybody does whatever they want, and that's the end of the story. So a little more of the great arbor. Emerald greens, some of my favorites. And this is a rose. I believe it's a Joseph's coat. These are the tomatoes. Look at these tomatoes. This is some kind of an Italian variety. Starts with a C, but they're ribbed, and I'm told they're delicious. Now, this is not a good plant. You can see it's dry and what have you, but look at the prolific amounts of tomatoes. There's 3 or 4 down there. There's another one there by itself. There's 3 there, 2 there. I mean, it's amazing. Just amazing. And you see the organza bags and what their purpose in life is. The birds can't get those guys. Now, once again, he'll have a close-up of a white cedar. Probably only 0.001% of the people on the East Coast, at least, have seen a white cedar, because they're not native anymore. Well, they're native, but very, very rare. Here's the other tomatoes. When these tomatoes come in, they go great. There's a bunch of basil that I never took out of the boxes, but I will eventually, maybe. And another tomato plant that seems to be doing okay. I've already picked tomatoes off of many of these, but everybody wants to pick those zucchinis when they're small. I'm gonna pick them when they're big. I picked a couple small ones up there. Now these are the basils that I pulled out. And they're gonna dry in this intense sun. They're gonna dry pretty quick. This tomato plant over here, I think it's a Jersey Devil or something, but it looks like a Marzano, which I did plant some, so maybe that's that. And look forward to that, and more tomatoes around here. So originally I had all these plants lined up on the right side of the path, but it was just too much. So I put some of them over here. I want to show you, this is another cedar that when I was dumb and ignorant, I would call a white cedar because its color is a lot lighter than the green cedars. It's cedars that are green, but actually the same thing, just a little variation. So that's that. And pepper's going. Oh, let me show you my long hots. The long hots are great. Great. Got two going here. Two long hot plants, but if you can see the peppers in there, see them? Yeah, long hots. And I don't do that thing with baking them over the open fire and then putting them in a bag and the skin comes off. I don't bother with that. You just fry them up in oil and garlic, and away you go. Can't beat it. This thing, I should have done something about tying this up today. Maybe I will after I review this video. So I'll just tell you briefly. The idea with my farm is A, make it look wild, make it look natural, and then do whatever you can to make your life easy. So by putting all the plants together very close, no weeding, none whatsoever. And I'm camouflaging it, at least in my mind, I'm camouflaging it from the critters that would eat it. Like I got 3 fig trees in those raspberry bushes. I showed you one branch or two, but there's 3. And theoretically, the critters that would eat them, they can't make out the image of the fig, because their eyes only work one way. They get a pattern, they lock on, they go, they consume. And that's what they do. The little box turtles eat the tomatoes close to the ground. Box turtles can eat anything they want because so many of them get slaughtered on the road. So they like this habitat. So that's good. Back way over there, you can see it. I put in a, what do you call it? Magnolia tree. So they'll grow up. They're pretty fast growers. Give me a lot of shade. There's some Sergeant crab apples right over here. You see this at the end of the fence behind it? That's a Sergeant crab apple. It's a myrtle over there and another Sergeant crab apple. There's a blackberry, a wild cherry right here. And folks, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Maybe we'll put this up on Bluetooth, Bluebird for your viewing enjoyment. I know later on this morning, I really hope to, there goes the dining needles and dragonflies are going crazy. Sometimes I get them mistaken with a hummingbird, but these were the needles, the dragonflies. But hopefully, after a little while, I'm going to do a piano and maybe video, put it up, and then I'm going to do a talk on world history. It's going to be East Asia oriented. And that's a good play on words, right? Oriented, East Asia. All right, folks, have a nice day. Thanks for stopping by and listening.